We are going to create a little redirect associated with the form inside of our components folder that is our login form. Now, we're not going to implement a detection of username and password to associate with values. We're going to implement that when we look at Entity Framework Core and look at our data context. But I wanted to demonstrate that right here, our form is going to post to our main controller. It's going to post to an authenticate method. And then it has form validation associated with our login view model. We have our ASP4 tag associated with our username and our password. We also have the ASP validation for our username and password. And we're associating that validation summary for all of our model validation information. We have custom styling associated with the color red and also with the UI error of semantic UI. So this is our form. It's associated with the login view model. It's required and it's associating the different data types. So if that information is posted and it's not correct, it's going to give those errors on the UI before it posts back to the server. The libraries that are associated in our client-side development, and that's what we imported in our bower.json. As you can see right here, we have jQuery validation and jQuery validation unobtrusive. So it's utilizing those libraries for our data model validation. So now we're going to go to our main controller. We're going to create a method to associate with the authenticate on our default.cshtml view component. So we're going to associate an action value here. It's not actually going to have a view, it's just going to post to this. So let's go to our main controller and let's do public iActionResult, and we're going to put authenticate. And this is going to be very simple. It's going to detect if the model validation is correct. If it is valid, we're going to redirect to the logged in controller associated with index.cshtml page. If it is not, we're going to redirect back to main. So let's go here and let's say if model state is valid. So if our model state is valid, if it is true, then we are going to redirect to action, which is this method right here based on our controller base. And there's a lot of different overloads we can associate. We have an action name if it's on the same controller, and we can see the overload methods associated with the redirect to action if we're going to the action name itself. We can also go to the controller itself. So you have action name with route values, you have action name with the controller name, which we're going to utilize, and then we have action name with the controller name and route values. So we're going to focus on this. So we want to be able to go to the logged in controller and the index.cshtml. So let's go to action name, index, and then we want to go to the logged in controller. So we're going to return that value. So if it is valid, it's going to go there. Else, we're going to copy this. Else, I want to redirect back to the main controller and the index method. So let's go here. Now, of course, this is always going to go here because there's no detection of what the values are. And since we're using client-side validation to associate with our model, it's always going to go to logged in the index.cshtml page on the logged in controller method. But in this case, I just want to show you this is a simple way to post to a controller to associate different logic that we have inside of our application. Let's go to our main folder and our index.cshtml page. Let's click View in Browser. And as you can see right here, I have my app login form. I'm going to click Login. And notice the validation that's happening here once I click. This is being emitted on the client side to associate with our model data. And as you can see here, let's go to the default.cshtml page. And as you can see right there, this is the ASP validation for our username. The username field is required. The password field is required. And then we have a validation summary at the end for all. This does not go away until we submit. But once we type here, we can say Jack. You notice that goes away. And then if we put it back, it's going to put that validation information again. So let's put Jack. And here, let's put 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what's going to happen when I click this? It should redirect me. Look where it took me. The logged in page and the index method. So it took me here And then what's being implemented here is just going to this layout to associate here. So we have that layout.login that's implementing all of this. And we can see that this is true if we just put a paragraph here, put test, see if that's implementing correctly. And we may not see it because of the margin on top. Let's just put style, margin, top. See if that does it. And as you can see right there, it's pulling in test, that value to associate inside of our content page right there. And now what happens is if I click the layout login, it's going to log me out when I click right here. And that's going to redirect me back to my main controller and my index method. So if I click this, it takes me back here. Now you're going to have some server-side logic that associates deleting of a cookie or session variable, whatever you want inside of your application. But right here, this is how we implement a simple redirect. In our next lecture, we will actually implement some login authentication to detect if the username and password is validated and then pull information based on a profile. So now we've implemented our first base form inside of ASP.NET Core.